With more than 6,000 small and microcap companies listed, if you're looking for the next apple at the earliest stage, then ChannelChek truly is the orchard. The listed companies support ChannelChek, so it's free for you, the potential investor, to gain access to institutional quality research from FINRA licensed analysts, advanced market data, industry reports, news, and a growing catalog of videos and webcasts. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for ChannelChek so you're always up to date on what's going on at the small and microcap data place. Welcome to this special edition of the C-Suite series presented by ChannelChek and Noble Capital Markets. Noble is an SEC-registered, FINRA-licensed broker-dealer and the source of the equity research available on ChannelChek. This Uranium Power Players Investor Forum presentation features CanAlaska Uranium, OTC ticker symbol CVVUF, TSX-V ticker symbol CVV. Following a brief overview presentation from CEO and EVP Cory Belyk, Noble Senior Research Analyst Michael Heim will moderate a Q&A session. With that, I am pleased to present Cory Belyk.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in for CanAlaska Uranium. We're a uranium, copper, and nickel exploration company based out of Canada. And our project portfolio is really based around uranium, but we've been busy in the nickel space. And it's really about investing in carbon-free energy. And I'm excited to tell the CanAlaska story to you today. And hopefully you'll find it very interesting. We have some forward-looking statements, which I won't go through, but you can read at your leisure. Our corporate structure. The resource market is cyclical, and are you ready for the upturn? CanAlaska's portfolio, we believe, is ready for that upturn. In the past few years, we've seen the uranium spot price climbing. We've seen interest in our portfolio and in our company climbing in terms of the volumes. Really, what's important is our great structure. We have 81 million shares outstanding, 119 million fully diluted. We've got cash in the bank sitting around 7 million today, and really management owns about 10% of this company. So we're right there with our shareholders. We're ready for that upturn in the uranium price. CanAlaska is an active explorer and project generator. It's really a hybrid model. We're involved heavily in the uranium space in the Athabasca Basin of Canada, which we like to call the Saudi Arabia of uranium. We're also involved in the nickel space in the Thompson Nickel Belt, the 5th largest nickel jurisdiction, just in the neighboring province of Manitoba. And we also have copper projects in British Columbia. We pride ourselves on research, acquiring new projects, doing deals to advance those projects, ultimately towards discovery for our shareholders, all toward capital gains for the shareholder and minimizing that shareholder dilution. We've been very active in 2021. We've had great news flow from the start of the year. We drilled our copper project in BC and Quesnel. We drilled copper mineralization on the very first program. We drilled our uranium project, our Waterbury South project in Q1 of this year, and we announced a brand new discovery there, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We're currently, just this week, drilling our West McArthur project for the next couple of months. That's where we've drilled 8% uranium historically, 5% uranium in other places. It's what we call our 42 zone. We're very excited about the potential for that project in the Athabasca Basin. Next month, a brand new joint venture we have with Denison Mines up in the Athabasca. They're going to be drilling our Moon JV project. And in Q4, we anticipate drilling our Manabridge project in Manitoba for sulphide nickel. That's a brand new joint venture with D-Block Discoveries. They're currently going through listing process, but we're anticipating being able to drill that in Q4. And in July, we did a little bit of ground prospecting for our diamond projects in northern Saskatchewan. So we're waiting those results from the lab right now. We've got a lot of news flow. The business case for uranium. Well, there's worldwide demand, both stable and increasing. There's limited supply. Mines have been shut down, deposits have been depleted. And really, the business case is about carbon-free energy production. If the world really wants to meet its sustainable energy goals that are carbon-free, you nearly have to triple nuclear generation by the year 2050 in order to meet those goals. So there's a bright future in the nuclear space, we believe, and the introduction of new technologies like SMRs are actually going to increase that demand. Others are getting on board. Large and small scale nuclear power is being promoted by people like Bill Gates. He really says ultimately nuclear is the answer. It's baseload power that's clean, and it has to be a larger portion of the energy mix moving forward. Our project portfolio is really second to none. Our focus is clean energy metals, primarily in the uranium space in the Athabasca Basin of Canada, Saskatchewan, where I live, but also the nickel space in the neighboring province of Manitoba, and the 5th largest sulfide nickel belt on the planet, right up against Vale's operations in Manitoba. In the Athabasca Basin, we've got 530,000 acres in the Eastern Athabasca, which is around all the operating mines and mills in this part of the world for uranium. So we're in a great position with our portfolio to really, help our shareholders in the next uranium cycle, which we see coming. Our target scenarios: we have shallow, mid-depth, and deep targets. The Northeast Wollaston projects are an example where we have basement targets from surface down to 300 feet. In the mid-depth range, our Cree East project, that project is the size of New York City. It's very large. We're looking for a football field target. Its targets sit from around 600 to 1,300 feet. And also we have deep targets like our West McArthur project, where we're drilling at 8% uranium. We're drilling there right now with targets in the range of 2,300 to 3,000 feet, similar to the McArthur River Mine, which is the world's largest and highest grade uranium deposit, which is just 8 miles away from us. We've been able to look down to these depths with new geophysical tools and really have outlined targets that look like a McArthur River, Cigar Lake, Phoenix Arrow, or Eagle Point type analog. So these are great targets in a great breadth of depths, all in that Athabasca model, those very, very high grade uranium deposits. Our latest discovery at our West McArthur project is located just 8 miles from the McArthur River mine, shown here on the right. It's the world's richest, highest grade uranium mine. It's about 650 million pounds at an average grade of about 15%. We can drive here year round. All the mine infrastructure, mill infrastructure, you can see here on the right, that's the haul road that takes McArthur's ore down to the Key Lake Mill, just 80 kilometers to the south. We're well positioned in a strategic position with our West McArthur project. A few years ago, we brought Cameco into this joint venture, and their drilling discovered our 42 zone mineralization. We're now in control of this project. We've been drilling 8% uranium here in the past couple of years. We're actively drilling there right now. In the past number of months, we've been developing the targets, and we believe we've opened up a brand new exploration corridor for about 1.5 to 2 miles to the southwest, connected to our 42 zone discovery, which we're excited to get onto this next couple of months. This is a giant system. The alteration event associated with this mineralization is very large. It stretches all the way up to surface, again, 3,000 feet. There you can see a scale of the Eiffel Tower on the left, just to give you a scale of this thing. It's very large. When these large events occur, you have to pay attention to them. We're on a major fault system with a large alteration system with 8% uranium already drilled. So this is the focus for the next couple of months. We're going to be targeting the main structure at that unconformity. That's the break between the young and old rocks, and that's where these Athabasca very high grade deposits like to form. So we're very excited about this. We view this as being potential for a tier 1 discovery based on everything that we see that looks like the Cigar Lake or McArthur River analog. How do we know this? We've got tier 1 indications on the 42 zone. Again, a very large alteration system with 8% uranium already drilled. On the right-hand side, you can see a schematic of the Cigar Lake or McArthur River alteration system shown here in yellow. And Cigar Lake is roughly to scale. So you can see the intensity of the alteration that we have looks like one of these large tier 1 Athabasca uranium deposits, like a Cigar Lake. We're also getting multi-element chemistry. These polymetallic ores, like Cigar, like Millennium, like some of these others in the Athabasca Basin, we're seeing all the fingerprints from one of these tier 1 type uranium deposits. So we're very excited about this. Again, we're targeting the unconformity. That's the contact between the overlying, in this case, sort of pink or salmon rocks, and the underlying gray and brown and pink rocks below. It's the right place to be. There's a strategic opportunity here. Nearby, there's a processing plant that's in need of feed. Our partner Cameco owns the Key Lake Mill. And when McArthur River starts, it's going to have about 15 years of mine life left. And that's all the feed there is coming from McArthur. There's no other tier 1 deposit located in this part of the Athabasca Basin that can feed the Key Lake Mill. Our partner Cameco has a need. They're intimately involved with us on this project technically. They're supportive of everything that we're doing and trying to move this 42 zone ahead. And we have to remember that we're only a couple of, about a mile away from their Fox Lake deposit. That Fox Lake deposit has 70 million pounds of 8% uranium already identified. We're on the same geological corridor, the same fault system as the Fox Lake deposit. So there's every opportunity here to add to what's already known at the nearby Fox Lake deposit at the 42 zone. And we're already drilling uranium at 8%, which is a very similar grade to what we have at Fox Lake. We're very excited about the opportunity here for CanAlaska and its shareholders. Our portfolio is large. We've got a number of target areas in the Eastern Athabasca. Again, the Eastern Athabasca is important because you're strategically located in and around all the critical infrastructure, whether it's mines, mills, roads, or highways that can move this ore from any deposit that's found here. That's a real strategic opportunity. Our West MacArthur project, like our Cree East project, the size of New York City, very, very large. We're looking for a football field which could host 300 million pounds of uranium. It's an incredible target, and we're onto it at West MacArthur. We've also got zones at Cree East, which I'll talk about in a bit, where we've got 9 zones of uranium mineralization already identified. We've been busy staking new projects where we have Eagle Point or Arrow type analogs. Arrow deposits, one of the newest discoveries in the Athabasca Basin by NextGen. We believe we have the very same indications on our new projects out to the northeast. These are just brand new. All of these projects are available for joint venture funding with partners. Let's look at our Waterbury projects. We're excited about the Waterbury South project. It's along the Rabbit Lake fault system. That's host to the Eagle Point deposit or Rabbit Lake deposit. The Rabbit Lake mill is very close to the operation here. We're also only a few miles from the Cigar Lake mine, one of the richest, highest grade uranium mines in the Athabasca Basin. It's polymetallic, and I'll talk about why that's important in a minute. You want to be on these large fault corridors like the Rabbit Lake fault, like the Cigar Lake fault system. Both of these projects, the Waterbury East and Waterbury South, are located along these major structures. At Waterbury South, we went in the winter this year, and we drilled some very interesting untested targets that have been sitting there historically. Our geophysics tells us that we have an alteration system, a large hydrothermal event occurring. We went in and drilled 3 holes in the winter, and we came back with a brand new discovery. It's a high-grade polymetallic, uranium-rich mineralized zone. Again, a giant alteration system in the overlying sandstone, shown here in pink, but the alteration's in yellow. Again, this is hundreds of feet high, maybe 1,000, 1,500 feet wide. This is a giant mineralizing event, a brand new discovery that we announced back in April of this year. I'm really excited about the polymetallic nature because this is exactly the style of mineralization that you see at a large Cigar Lake type event. So we're really excited about getting back in here. Again, only our 3rd hole drilled on the project ever, and we intersected this level of mineralization. The other project, Waterbury East, has a geophysical target. Again, this target is an indication of the potential alteration in the overlying rocks that mimics what Cameco's drilled nearby, just less than a mile away at the Q11A zone. It's 2% uranium at 7 meters width. We have an anomaly that looks better than that. We've got alteration in the sandstone already identified in the few holes that have been drilled. We've got uranium enrichment occurring. We've got all the fingerprints of what looks like another one of these mineralized zones occurring on the Waterbury East project. We weren't able to drill it this winter, but this is for the future. Our Cree East project, again, the size of New York City. It's only 25 miles away from the Key Lake mill. It has indications of tier 1 discovery already occurring. The first $20 million of investment was made by Korean parties in the last uranium cycle about 12 years ago, and it outlined 9 uranium enriched zones, 2 of which are really significant. Zones A and B have been really developed to the drill ready stage and already have indications of very large mineralizing events like we see at West MacArthur, like we see at Cigar and MacArthur. These are tier 1 discovery type events. Zone A itself has a 1,000-foot uranium halo in the sandstone and 1,000 foot of alteration deep down into the basement. These are all the indicators that you want to see associated with uranium enrichment and trace mineral enrichment. Again, these polymetallic signatures of these uranium deposits. It needs to be drilled further. Zone B, we abandoned a hole here right at Fukushima. Okay, Fukushima happened, we weren't able to get back in there, and it's never been touched since. Zone B has all the indications of, again, one of these tier 1 systems, polymetallic signature, alteration extending well up into the sandstone that's been drill proven, and we really need to test the ideal target at that critical unconformity. That's the very next drilling program that we would like to see at Cree East. Again, looking for the right partner to come help us with this project. We've been busy with new staking over the last year. We staked 4 or 5 areas really up in the northeast Wollaston area. A great set of projects, all targeting the shallow depth mineralization that we see at these basement deposits like Arrow and Eagle Point. We believe we've got the right geophysical signatures telling us we're in the right place. We know what these things look like. Eagle Point has geophysical anomalies associated with it that we can use and understand. Arrow has geophysical anomalies associated with it that we can use and understand. We have the same geophysical anomalies existing on one of these projects at Watson. Okay, it has uranium identified already at 1.4% in rock within half a mile of one of these layered anomalies that's never been drilled. You know, these bright spots we see at Eagle Point, there's an example here on the right-hand side in the larger yellow circle. These are anomalies that look like and may represent the alteration associated with these large basement mineralized events in the Athabasca Basin. These new projects, 104,000 acres of land ready for joint venture and ready for a first round of exploration on some of these really nice looking targets. Just today, we announced brand new staking of land which is connected to Cameco, we believe is connected to Cameco's uranium deposit, the Millennium uranium deposit, over 100 million pounds. The main controlling structure at Millennium projects through, based on the geophysics, into this new project area and actually disrupts some of the basement geology that we look for in association with these uranium deposits. We're really excited about this new opportunity, and we're looking for joint venture funding to help advance this brand new project, which has a lot of potential for another Millennium type or Cigar or MacArthur type mineralized system to occur. It starts with structure. We believe we found it. We believe we've got a great new project on our hands as of today. There's a part 2 to CanAlaska's portfolio. In the uranium downturn, we said, okay, you know, what's going to be important in the future? Well, you have to generate electricity with uranium. You have to move electricity with copper. You have to store and deliver that electricity with nickel, batteries. So sulfide nickel is critical for the future of electrification of the planet, whether it's vehicles or other infrastructure. We spent the last number of years building a portfolio that is second to Vale in the Thompson Nickel Belt, the world's 5th largest sulfide nickel belt on the planet. We just in April announced a $4 million deal with D-Block that's going to see, you know, drilling done on our Manor project at the south end of this belt, probably in Q4 of this year. We're really close to Vale's operations. We're the 2nd largest landholder against Vale, one of the premier mining companies on the planet. We've been busy staking further ground where it made sense. We've been watching for strategic opportunities to pick up land or structures where there's already identified nickel mineralization along this belt, where we believe there's high potential for future discovery. Again, picking up land where we've got 0.3% nickel already identified. We're adjacent to deposits, you know, nearly 1 million tons at 1.2% nickel. We're in the right geological space for further discovery and applying new techniques in a space in this Thompson Nickel Belt that really hasn't been touched for a number of decades. This is prime opportunity to make brand new sulfide nickel discoveries. We have copper projects. I mentioned we drilled with a partner, Almanica Minerals, back in Q1 of 2021. They drilled the first copper intersections on Mouse Mountain. This is a brand new discovery. It's early days, but it sure looks promising in what is one of the premier copper belts in British Columbia in Canada. We also have our Rutan project, our North Rutan project, which has a geophysical signature that looks exactly like the Rutan copper zinc mine just a mile away. Again, the 3rd largest underground VMS deposit in Canada. And we've got a target that looks very similar, if not better, and has already drilled some copper and copper mineralization historically. So again, a great project in Manitoba. We have a technical team that's built for success, political political success as well. We're headed by our chair, Ambassador Thomas Graham Jr., who served under 4 successive U.S. presidents, was part of the major negotiations for every major international arms deal. We've got Kathleen Kennedy Townsend from the state of Maryland, who was the first female lieutenant governor. She's a lawyer, certified dealer, and author. She's again a great support for what we're doing down in the U.S. market. We're very strong with Dr. Carl Scheemann. This is the guy that found the Cigar Lake deposit. Just in the last month or so, we've been rebuilding the CanAlaska team. I've been able to attract, through what isn't relationships, but strength of our portfolio, been able to attract a new vice president of exploration, Mr. Nathan Bridge out of Cameco, whom I know very well and is very excited about the discovery opportunity within CanAlaska's portfolio. And Kerry Gleschuk, a senior geologist, very experienced gentleman out of the Manitoba scene to help us move our nickel projects forward. So we're very strong technically and politically. We're well positioned for the next uranium upturn. We believe the time is now, it's coming, the uranium price is climbing, and people are taking notice of our very well-structured company that is CanAlaska. So we believe we've checked all the major boxes. We employ a project generator / hybrid explorer model, and really it's toward discovery for our shareholders. And as you've seen in a number of projects, we're currently advancing brand new discoveries. And if you want to learn more, please visit our website at www.canalaska.com, and yeah, please check us out. We believe we're poised for success in the upcoming uranium upturn, and we'd love to have you on board to join us. So with that, thank you for your attention and your time, and we'll maybe turn it over to some questions. Thank you.
Cory, thank you for the presentation. This is a uranium conference, but you're a little bit different from some of the other companies, so I want to dive right into that. Give me a little bit of the history of your company and how your various assets came together.
Well, thank you, Michael. Great question. You know, we back about 16 years ago, CanAlaska decided to get into the Athabasca Basin in a big way, become really a uranium company, a uranium explorer, a project generator. We had the ability at the time to, bring in new technologies to look a little bit deeper than looked at in past efforts. So we really had a very nice large land portfolio with a lot of opportunity within it. So, the early days of CanAlaska, it was about uranium, and it still is really about uranium, but thinking about sort of the carbon-free future here, as it's very topical these days. So, how does copper and nickel fit into this? Well, I view it as a brilliant strategy, and I'll articulate that in the sense that you need to generate the electricity, that being through nuclear. You need to move that electricity through copper, and you need to store and deliver that electricity, and that takes batteries, which are primarily nickel. So if you think about it, it's a great synergy between uranium, copper, and nickel in our portfolio. So how did we get into nickel, really? Because that's sort of the other core to our portfolio, is that, post Fukushima, 2011, no one wanted to really talk about nuclear. No one wanted to talk about uranium. So what do you do to bring shareholder value back to the CanAlaska shareholders? And we looked at that very synergy between nickel and uranium. Went, there's a great nickel belt in Manitoba, the neighboring province to where these uranium deposits are found. It's been largely ignored for about 40 years. And it's the 5th largest sulphide nickel belt on the planet historically. And there was opportunity to go in and stake some great projects, great real estate with lots of great targets and already identified mineralization on them. So over the last number of years, we've been busy working on developing this portfolio, which is really second only to Vale, one of the largest, mining companies on the planet, out of Brazil. We're the 2nd largest landholder to them in the nickel space in Manitoba. It's in my backyard. We know how to work here. It's a great place to invest. So if you think about it, it's a great story. Uranium, copper, nickel, there's synergies there. It's building shareholder value through, really generating these projects, being that project generator. And where it makes sense, in a hybrid sense, we will invest our own shareholders' money toward that discovery. So it's a balancing act, but it's one we believe we're very good at, and one that provides a lot of value for our shareholders if you think about that carbon-free future that we're all after. So we're a uranium company, but we've got this nice tack on of nickel, and it really does make sense if you think about it.
You've described yourself as a hybrid exploration and project generator. Is that true for nickel and copper as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we pride ourselves on being able to generate these projects, no matter what the space is, whether it's uranium, copper, or nickel. But we employ the same basic philosophy there. If it makes sense to invest our shareholder money into these projects because we believe there's an immediate ability to make a discovery, we'll do it. More importantly, we'll bring in outside investment so we don't dilute our shareholders. That's how we've been able to maintain this incredible share structure in our company over this low period in uranium, where we only have 80 million shares outstanding. Any news for CanAlaska moves the share price quickly. So it's a well-structured company. We don't dilute our shareholders unnecessarily. We love to work with partnerships, bring in new money, new investment from other parties that want to work with us toward ultimately making that discovery. We don't have to own it all. We just have to own enough and be a part of the scene. It's a great approach, I believe.
I tend to hear of other uranium companies as saying they're either an exploration company or a production company, and do you see this hybrid model as something that's advantageous for your shareholders?
I believe it's really advantageous. Again, we're not diluting unnecessarily. So if we don't dilute our shareholders, there's a better return on the upside for any discovery that can be made within our portfolio. And I think that's a real advantage. Again, 80 million shares outstanding, any bit of news, the shareholders that currently hold us understand our story. They're with us. They're with us for that discovery that sits, we believe, right within our grasp, whether it's West McArthur, Cree East, or maybe Waterbury South, a brand new discovery just in the last 6 months that it's exactly what you want to see for a Cigar Lake type mineralizing event. And these polymetallic zones don't happen everywhere in the Athabasca Basin. You have to pay attention to it. So is it an advantage? I believe so. I really do believe so. We're not diluting, and we're providing that opportunity through our project generation to our shareholders to ultimately have one of these projects deliver a tier 1 asset. So I believe it's the right model for our shareholders, and I think they appreciate it.
You mentioned the shareholders. I think you also mentioned that management owns, was it 8 to 10%? Tell us who are some of your other large shareholders and give us a sense of their willingness to invest in the company if funds are needed and their long-term investment nature.
So we're a bit unique there again in that we have, over 4,000 shareholders in the company. There really isn't any shareholder that holds, more than, 1 to 2% of CanAlaska, which means they're on board with us. They believe our story. They've put their money into us. There's a lot of different investors there. We took a relatively large amount of money in 2019 to advance our West McArthur discovery from Sprott, Rick Rule's group. Okay, we took some money from them. They were willing to fund the next phase of exploration at West McArthur, and we drilled 8% uranium with that money. So they're one of our larger shareholders, or at least their consortium of shareholders, if you want to call it that. So we don't have any major funds in there at the present time. It's basically all retail, and they believe our story. They love what we're doing, and really see the upside to our portfolio and that ultimately that discovery.
Since we're talking about shareholders and financing, let's kind of keep on that theme a little bit. Looks like this year we're spending maybe $1 million on consulting, $1 million on project development. Is that kind of where you see things going, or is it ramping up, or did we go through some bigger periods that maybe that's slowing down?
We're absolutely ramping up at this point in time. Like I articulated, we've been bringing in the right people now to develop the core of the CanAlaska geological team. We've been able, through this portfolio, to build out what is an incredibly strong team. I've been able to pull in Mr. Nathan Bridge, who's a geoscientist for over a decade with Cameco. I know him very well. He's joined us, in part because of the portfolio and discovery opportunity that he sees. He wants to be part of the success. We brought in, another senior geologist out of Manitoba to help us move our nickel assets forward. We brought in another geologist I didn't even talk about, a project geologist out of the Orano system, the French nuclear giant. He joined us in large part because of this portfolio. That's the core of our team. We believe we're set up now that we can execute on, whether it's uranium or nickel, we can execute on these projects and really drive toward that discovery. And are we ramping up? Yes, we are. You know, we've come through a very low period in uranium. We see the interest climbing now, whether it's in the interest in our stock, but more importantly, we're seeing the uranium price move. I think the other day it touched around $33 a pound again. That's up significantly if you look at, just look back 4 years. The trend is up, and we see all the critical pieces coming together in the market, whether it's through large reactor builds being announced, continuations or extensions of existing nuclear power plants, or even what we call small modular reactors becoming a very important part of the future. That's all going to need more uranium, and mines are depleting. There needs to be more tier 1 discoveries like we find in the Athabasca Basin to feed all of this demand, basically this electrification of the planet. So it's an exciting future in the nuclear space. We've got the team ready to go. We've got our West MacArthur project moving forward right now, and that will be about a $2.5 million spend in the next couple of months. We've got $7 million in the bank, so we're well financed for this program, but we'll be looking to finance again for our plans that look even better for 2022, next year, where we plan to again work West MacArthur, work Waterbury South, bring in new partnerships so we don't have to spend maybe our own money. There's a lot of deals on the go that could bring in that investment where we may actually run the project as well. So there's opportunity here for CanAlaska to really pick up the pace in what we see as an ever-improving market for uranium, but also importantly nickel.
So let's dive into some of these individual projects a little bit now, and start with the big one. At this point, West MacArthur is the only current joint venture.
We have another joint venture. We have our Moon JV, which is brand new. That's a joint venture with Denison Mines, sort of a mid-tier player here, but they're trying to move one of these projects through to production in the Athabasca Basin using ISR methods, in situ recovery methods. Okay, so they're working through that process. We just signed that joint venture agreement in the last month. They're planning on starting that drill program on our Moon JV in September of this year, so next month. So we're really excited to have that new joint venture kicked off. Other than that, in the Athabasca Basin, the only other joint venture that we currently have is with Cameco, and that's at West MacArthur. And again, they're very supportive of what we're doing. They're very supportive of the targeting that we've done in the last 6 to 8 months, and there's every opportunity there to have further success. It's really come a long ways in the last few years since we've drilled 5%, now 8% uranium, and now we've opened up exploration space, a new part of that corridor that really is exciting. So our joint venture partners in both cases, very supportive of what we're doing. The Moon JV is being led by Denison. They're the majority, share owner of that project, but we're along for the ride and we're going to fund with them. They have some exciting
the West MacArthur is something you're leading, and that's like a 70-30 split?
Yeah, so CanAlaska, after Cameco's initial investment, they've curtailed a lot of their exploration spend. So we took back operatorship of that project at 70%, and we now own a little over 74% of that project through the last number of years, them diluting on the programs, which is fine. That's normal part of joint ventures, but they're still along for the ride. So we own 74% of West MacArthur, and we have a very engaged relationship with Cameco on that one. So it's a great thing.
So how are the 2021 results kind of setting you up for 2022?
Okay, so let's step back to Waterbury South. We drilled that project, the first polymetallic mineralization on that project back in April of this year. That's a brand new discovery. We didn't know that was there, and only our third hole hit this. Now, it's important because we're seeing up to 2%, 2.5% nickel, 2.5% arsenic, cobalt, zinc. This is the polymetallic signature that comes along with the Cigar Lake deposit, one of these polymetallic high-grade uranium deposits that are common in the Athabasca Basin. About half of them are polymetallic, like Midwest. Key Lake, one of the first deposits mined in the Athabasca Basin, average grade of nickel was 2.5%. Not many people know that. So we believe at Waterbury South, we've drilled one of these polymetallic zones. Now the uranium is highly elevated, but these tend to be zoned. So you may not have all the uranium with all the nickel. So we're really excited about the fingerprint opportunity this offers, that we're onto a large mineralizing event. Again, brand new discovery in April. So that's going to be a focus for 2022. West MacArthur, we're drilling right now. Okay, we're drilling on some really nice targets that are going to be both on the 42 zone, but also extensions thereof of that main controlling fault system. So, clearly results will dictate 2022, but we anticipate even after this program, we're going to have a number of targets that remain untested, and or we're going to have some results that demand follow-up in 2022. So we're looking at an even bigger exploration program for 2022 at West McArthur. Cree East, there's a lot of conversations about Cree East. It's very large. It's got 9 uranium-enriched zones. It's got 2 advanced target areas that are ready for drilling, further drilling. They're showing, again, all of the right signposts for one of these large Athabasca deposits. It's getting a lot of attention. There's every chance we could do a deal there that would bring in outside investment to help move Cree East forward. We own it 100%. Again, a hybrid model, project generation, maybe using others' money to advance these projects, sharing in the risk. And then nickel, obviously a large portfolio in Manitoba. We're going to be drilling there in Q4, we hope. A lot of deals on the go there too, so that could see other investments. So 2022 is looking to be very busy, a lot busier than 2021. And you can see 2021 for CanAlaska was very good news flow and has been a very, very busy year for us too.
So let's talk timelines and a little bit beyond 2022. Do you see your company as taking these projects to a preliminary economic assessment stage or not?
I'm confident in saying probably not. And the reason I say that is that we're a project generator. We explore where necessary. We make the discoveries, hopefully. And then we're going to look to move it into the hands of the players that will take it forward. In particular for uranium, it's a big player game. It's regulated. It's got a lot of hurdles you have to go through. And we have to remember that when you make a discovery in the Athabasca Basin, one of these tier 1 assets, a lot of what you see for opportunity for shareholders to build value is in the first number of years from discovery, taking it to maybe that first resource or maybe a more well-defined resource, not into the economic phase yet. That's where the value is for our shareholders, and that's what we're focused on. So we're going to turn it into an auction, the highest bidder, and we're going to go do it again. That's the key. We don't have ambitions to be a producer. We want to get it into any asset we find, into the hands of the companies that could take it to production. Because now you're entering, when you go to that phase, you're entering a 10 to 15-year timeline to take it there. And that's just not what our shareholders want. Our shareholders want us for discovery, and that's what we're aiming to do. Discover and pass it off, build shareholder value through the sale, and go do it again.
So as an exploration company, how are you maybe different from other uranium exploration companies outside the obvious that you're also involved in nickel and copper? Yeah,
no, that's a great question, and it's a common one. How do we set ourselves apart from our peers? Well, I'm gonna start. There's 3 things. One is we have a well-structured company. Okay, we only have 80 million shares outstanding. It's very tightly held. The players that are involved, the shareholders are involved, love our story, and they're in it for the long ride through thick and thin. So it's just a well-structured company, and we've got cash in the bank. 2, you got to have access to the right land. Okay, these projects, Cree East, West McArthur, the Waterbury projects, our brand new staking just announced today at North Millennium. These projects, it's very hard to get access to large blocks of land with uranium showings or interest on them already in the Athabasca Basin. It's all staked up. You're going to have to do deals or you're just not going to get the right ground, let alone the right geology. So we've got the right portfolio in the Eastern Athabasca, again, around that mine and mill infrastructure that's owned by Cameco and Denison, the giant uranium players in the Athabasca Basin. We're right next door. We've got joint ventures with Cameco. So access to land is critical. The 3rd step, you got to have the right people. Dr. Carl Schumann discovered Cigar Lake. Nathan Bridge, he discovered the 42 zone on our West McArthur project when he was working for Cameco. He was involved and worked to discover the Fox Lake deposit next to our 42 zone, just a mile away. That's 70 million pounds of 8%. The new VP of CanAlaska was a big part of that discovery. He's worked on extensions of the Cigar Lake mine. He's worked on the Millennium deposit, the one we just staked. among others. He's very experienced. He knows how to discover these things. He's done it. The other geologist I articulated, coming from Orano, he's been part of the Orano system, that whole discovery portfolio, success in the Athabasca Basin. And then, of course, our nickel geologist out of Manitoba. So we've got the people that have made discoveries. So again, well-structured company, access to great land and access to zones of discovery already that are ready for that next level of funding, and people that know what they're doing. We've got all three, and we believe that sets us apart from our peers.
How do you make decisions on where to drill with that many different projects and that many different geologists involved? It seems like you might have some interesting management meetings.
Well, what I love are the conversations. These people bring a depth of experience. Myself being in the business for almost 30 years, in the uranium business for almost 30 years, 20 of that with Cameco. That's what I love. It's the interaction between these geologists. And, at the end of the day, the level of respect, the level of interest in our portfolio, the level of experience and things that people have seen, all provide us with that strategic opportunity to get our shareholders to that discovery faster than might otherwise happen. So they're wonderful discussions. Yeah, do we disagree? Absolutely. But more often than not, we come back and we agree, and we move these things forward to hopefully, the ultimate goal is to spend our shareholders' money, or even other investors' money, that being coming from other companies, wisely. Get the drill holes in the ground, because that's the only way you make discoveries. Arm waving and pontification will only get you so far. You've got to drill, and we've got the team that I trust that are going to make the best use of those drill holes toward that discovery.
Well, that sounds like a good way to sum it up. We're kind of at the end of our question and answer period, so I'll just thank you again for participating in our conference and letting everybody know a little bit more about CanAlaska.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and this Q&A session is just great. It just builds on the CanAlaska story that we love and we're part of, and hopefully others see the value in too. So I appreciate the ability to do this. Again, www.canalaska.com, and everyone have a great day, stay safe, and thank you for your attention. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for joining us for this C-Suite interview presentation brought to you by ChannelChek. Visit our YouTube channel for more interview content, as well as virtual roadshows and conference presentation replays. New content is added regularly, so subscribe below to stay up to date. Visit channelchek.com or click the link in the description to access equity research, news, and advanced market data on this and the 6,000 other small and microcap companies listed.